Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So we have a very fun and exciting video today. I'm actually so excited for this video because I love videos like this. Samantha March and Allie Glines has come up with a new eyeshadow palette tag. I remember I did this, you guys loved it. So I'm so happy that I get to do a new one that is just refreshed, revamped. Now that I have so many new eyeshadow palettes in my collection, I'm just so excited to be doing today's video. So let's go ahead and get started. I am also going to have both of their videos and their channels linked down below in case you guys want to check out their video. I'm also going to be tagging whoever wants to do this video. Like, I'm not going to tag anyone specifically. Whoever wants to do this video, I'm going to tag you. So the first question is, what is your all-time favorite palette? So this one was literally a no-brainer for me. My all-time favorite palette is the Nola palette from Tatianna Anesa Cosmetics. You guys, this was my very first eyeshadow palette I've ever created, ever released with my brand. This was such a huge accomplishment for me. This is very near and dear to my heart because this is a palette that is inspired by my home city, which is New Orleans. I always told myself, whenever I create my first eyeshadow palette, I want it to be a New Orleans themed palette. And that is exactly what I did. I'm so happy, so proud of it. The front is very pretty. It has like that smoky, like mysterious kind of vibe to it. It has Nola palette on the front, and then in the inside under the mirror it says dedicated to my city. It's the details for me. It's the details. And I also have shades named after the New Orleans Saints, Hurricane, the French Quarters, Beignet. I'm gonna swatch some of these shimmers because they're so pretty and so pigmented, and the mattes do not get me started with the mattes, okay? So the shade Who Dat, I'm gonna swatch here. Oh my gosh, look at that. That is the shade Who Dat. Then we have a Hurricane I'm gonna swatch, and then I'm also gonna swatch Bayou, which OMG. Look at these shades. This is my eyeshadow palette. I'm obsessed. I love it. Of course, this is my all-time favorite palette. The next question is, what is your new favorite palette? And this one was, honestly, it wasn't that hard because my new favorite palette obviously had to be a palette that I would get the most use out of. It's very beneficial to me for my everyday makeup look when I'm not doing anything extravagant or, you know, bold. And that is the ColourPop Gone Matte palette. Now, you guys, this palette is everything that I have ever wanted from ColourPop, okay? As basic as this palette is, and as boring as some people may think it is one of those palettes that is literally a necessity. I use this every day. I can use it for blush, I can use it for contour, my eyebrows. Like, I literally could just, if I could only have one palette in my entire collection, aside from my Nola palette, it would be this palette right here. I love it. You literally have everything you need. You have cool tones, you have warm tones. Like, there is everything you need in this one palette. I feel like this was just something needed. I'm happy that they did. Next one is, what is an eyeshadow palette that you keep for the memories? This one is honestly, not too expected, but this is the one palette that came to mind. It's from ColourPop. It is the Mar palette. This honestly was my first ColourPop palette. This is the palette that sparked my interest in ColourPop. This is the palette that made me want to get into ColourPop. It's honestly not a palette I reach for now. It literally, like, the shades are like popping out. I need to get rid of it. There's no shade names in this palette. It's just one of those palettes like, why am I still holding on to this? I don't even touch it. This is like years old, but this really did spark my joy and my love for ColourPop. So I keep this one because it does hold a really good place in my heart. When I picked this up, I was like, what is this? What brand is this? I literally picked this up in an Ulta clearance section, and I looked up the brand online, and that's immediately when my love and joy sparked for ColourPop. So that's why I keep this one. It's really near and dear to my heart. So next one is an underrated eyeshadow palette. Okay, let's see. I have it. Ooh, that's so hard. Okay, this is hard. This is hard because I pulled two. I pulled two palettes that I think are underrated, but of course I don't want to cheat. I'm gonna just look and pick one, but let's do this one. Okay, so this one right here, this is from Glamlight. I bet you guys probably are like, I don't even remember that palette. That's what I mean, like not a single person talked about this palette. I don't remember seeing any reviews on this palette. I feel like this was just like swept under the rug. Like literally people just overlooked this palette, but this is their Red Velvet Cupcake palette. This palette, if you love pinks and you love purples, but like pink purples and like red, like this is the most prettiest palette ever from Glamlight. First of all, their formula is amazing, hands down, but this is such a beautiful Valentine's Day palette. Like I need them to promote this palette because I don't even see them promote this palette anymore either. Like I just feel like they just like, you know, but I don't know why this is so underrated. I feel like it might be because it's one of the smaller palettes and it just was easily overlooked, but I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful palette. And I'm just gonna swatch a few of these shades so you guys could just see how beautiful this palette is and how beautiful the formula is in the palette. Tell me you do not want to put these shades on your eyelid. Like really? These are so pretty. So this next one is, what is an eyeshadow palette that is not a favorite, but you can't get rid of? And this one, you guys are probably gonna be so mad at me when I show you guys this eyeshadow palette, but it is the Amrezy Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette. I feel like I've only used this palette like 3 times since I've gotten it, and I got it like around the time that it came out, which is so bad. It's in a really good condition. Like it doesn't even look like I've touched it. Haven't even touched the brush, but don't get me wrong, it's a really pretty palette. That's why I bought it, but it just wasn't something that I was like, oh my god, I need to use this. But every time I go to declutter my eyeshadow palettes, I can't get rid of this one. I just can't. And I think it's because so many people love this palette. That is why, like so many people love this palette. So I feel like I need to love it and keep it, but I just don't love this palette. It's not my favorite palette. It's not a palette that I'm like, oh my god, I need to reach for this palette, you know? So I can't get rid of this one, but it's really pretty. Next one is, what is your favorite collab palette? Now, I have so many collab palettes in my collection, but the one collab palette that I think was probably my most favorite one thus far has to be the Beauty Bay X Jade palette. Now, first of all, I am a huge fan of space, stars, the moon. I love it. I live for it. I even have the moon and the stars tatted on my body. That's how much I love it. I'm obsessed with the moon and astrology and all that good stuff. So first of all, the packaging, like, can we get into the packaging? But not only that, but you guys know I love colorful eyeshadows. And when I tell you guys, one of my favorite eyeshadow brands and one of my favorite color stories is just a good time for Tati. Like, I literally love this palette. It has my favorite formula. Beauty Bay's eyeshadow formula is my favorite. I literally would love to collaborate with them. It is just not even funny how much I would love to create a palette with Beauty Bay. But you guys, this palette is just beautiful. It has everything you need. Cool tones, warm tones, pinks, purples, oranges, blacks, greens, blues, silvers, browns. Like, it has everything you need. And this is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. I was able to create a really gorgeous sunset look with this palette. Every time I pull from this palette, I either use the pinks in here or I'll use like the little blues and the yellows. But today I was like, you know what? Let's do sunset. So this shade Alien, let's just swatch a few of these shades. Gosh, the shimmers are stunning. Like, gosh, these shimmers. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I love Beauty Bay. Do you guys see these? The next one is, what is your favorite 2021 palette? Now, if you guys have seen my 2021 palette favorites video, you know I have so many palettes, but I literally had to narrow it down to one because I didn't want to cheat. But of course, you guys know the Nola palette would have been in this, but if I wasn't picking anything from my brand, it would be the Norvina Volume 5 palette. Like, who guessed it? Did anybody guess it? Because I feel like this is just such a no-brainer for me. You guys know purple is my favorite color to put on my eyelids. I feel like I do a lot of purple and pink eye looks. I'm trying to like get away from those colors, even though the month of February y'all gonna see a whole bunch of pink and purple, because Valentine's Day, it's an excuse to wear pink and purple and red. But this one right here is my favorite palette from the Norvina line. I love purples. This is so pretty. This is like a purple lover's dream. If you love purple eyeshadow, honey, this is beautiful. This is literally my favorite purple palette in my collection. The shades blend so beautifully. I just love the looks that I create with this. I create some really gorgeous looks with this. I can go super deep with this palette, or I can go really light and soft. This palette is just so beautiful, and I'm so happy that I have it. This is definitely my favorite release of 2021 as far as eyeshadow palettes. This is just literally my favorite. I remember I went so crazy when I saw this revealed. You guys, if you remember, then you remember, you know? Next one is an eyeshadow palette you didn't expect to love, and that is the Morphe X Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals palette. Now, this was a palette that I was like, okay, I want to get it because it's Jaclyn Hill and everybody loves her Morphe palettes, but this was a neutral palette, and I don't usually wear neutrals unless it's an everyday basis kind of thing, but I'd rather much go for a colorful look than a neutral look. But sometimes your girl just gotta go neutral when she don't really feel like doing a whole complete like eye look. But this palette, I was not expecting to love it as much as I do. I honestly think this is my favorite palette from all of the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palettes. It's just beautiful. I love how deep it goes. Literally anyone can use this of all skin tones. You can get so many looks out of this palette. You can use every single shade in this palette. I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful palette. I've gotten a lot of use out of this palette, I will say. So the next one is an eyeshadow palette that sparks joy. So I was looking over all of my eyeshadow palettes in my collection, and I was like, what is the one palette that every time I grab it, I just feel inspired, I feel fun, it brings me back to my childhood, a really fun palette, and that was the Glamlight Ice Cream palette. So this right here, first of all, the packaging is so cute, really beautiful palette. Very, very beautiful. This palette is, oh, I love this Glamlight palette so much. The ice cream sprinkles move, like it's just so fun. But then you have all of the shades in the palette. It's like a pastel lover's dream. I love this palette. And not only does it spark joy and excitement and always brings a smile to my face, it's probably the only pastel palette in my collection. First of all, it actually is the only pastel palette in my collection, but it is also the only pastel palette that I've tried, out of all the ones I've tried, that actually shows up pigmented and true to color on my skin. Like, it's not ashy. It's so beautiful. Like, shall we swatch some of these? Because, hold up. So that right here is the Glamlight palette. Look at that. Look at that. That is beautiful. But yeah, so here are some of the shades in the Glamlight Ice Cream palette. I do have a review on every single one of these palettes that I'm sharing with you guys today. So if you guys are interested in seeing more swatches, in-depth tutorials, things like that, then you guys can literally just type in like Tatianna Anesa and then like the palette name. And then it should definitely pop up. So the next question is, what is the newest palette in your collection? It is the Pat McGrath X Bridgerton palette. So this is the last eyeshadow palette that I've purchased, which is crazy. I haven't really been buying eyeshadow palettes lately, which is crazy. Like, I really have not been buying eyeshadow palettes. No, I think this year is probably not going to be the year of eyeshadow palettes. I think it's going to be the year of more complexion-based products. Like, last year was the year of blush. This year, I feel like it's going to be more complexion, foundation, concealer. Like, I just think it's going to be more like back to the basics kind of things, aside from eyeshadow palettes. But this is my last eyeshadow palette that I have purchased. I love it. I have a full-blown review on this palette as well. It's my first Pat McGrath palette in my collection. It's so beautiful, and I'm so happy that I do own this palette. So we are down to the last question in the tag, and that is, what is the first eyeshadow palette you used in 2022? This one I literally did not have to think about. Oh my goodness. Cassie wants to say hi, y'all. This is my baby Cassie. If you guys are new here If you guys are new here, I have 2 Yorkies. I have a boy and a girl. This one right here is Cash with a K. Cash with a K. He's my little baby. He just turned 4 on New Year's Eve. Say hi, Cash. You're so cute. Every time I wear makeup. Him and Callie. The first palette that I use in 2022 is the ColourPop Gone Matte palette. I kid y'all not, this is my everyday palette. I love this palette so much. I cannot express to you guys enough how much I love this palette. This palette is just beautiful. It's my favorite ColourPop palette. Like, I'm gonna just be real, as boring as it is, it's my favorite ColourPop palette, and this one could not have come at a better time. That is my answers to the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like I said, I'm tagging all of you guys if you guys are interested in doing it. I'm also going to go ahead and include Allie and Samantha's videos and channels down below so you guys could see the creators of the tags video. But yeah, so I'm going to end this video right here. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.